As you head into the afternoon, evening, and overnight hours, we're looking at partly cloudy conditions with the overnight low dropping to 57. This is your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center.
Bad boys, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John Brown come for you?
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for listening to The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty today. Joe, I love our music. I love our intro. Now we just need to get what you're going to do with Sheriff Darren Campbell, instead of John Brown. But that's awesome, man. Good to see you, sir. Glad to be back. Good to have you. Good to be here. Thank everybody for listening again to The Good, the Bad, the Guilty here on WSIC 100.7 FM here in Statesville, 105.9 FM for all of our other surrounding locales. Going to be a great show today. Have Sergeant Patrick Dixon of the Iredell County Sheriff's Office Special Victims Unit.
Hello.
On to speak with us today. Have Captain Matt Burleson. Hello, Captain Matt.
Well, yo, what's up?
Last week, yo.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Well, I mean, we had the dogs in the house.
We
had the dogs in the house. We let the dogs out. That was last week.
The good show last week had a lot of good comments on it. I was with you briefly.
Yes, sir.
And then I said, you know what? They got a stacked house. Let them have it. So they did. But y'all did good. Y'all did good. So glad to be here today. For those of you that were expecting to hear Sheriff Campbell, he is out again today with several meetings, I guess we could say. He has some of those meetings where he attends with the attorneys and prosecutors for various cases. So when this one pops off, it'll be good. So, Sheriff, I know you're probably en route to your meeting this afternoon, but go ahead and get all that good information so we can arrest all those bad guys. And thank you for doing that. But Sheriff will be back with us next week, hopefully. I know he's got a lot of running and gunning. Being president of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association.
Exactly right.
He has been on the move this week, and yesterday, not to start the show out on a sad note, but yesterday he and I had the opportunity to go to Forsyth County. We went to a officer that had passed away in line of duty.
Right.
Deputy Austin Riddle-Huber with Forsyth County Sheriff's Office on, I think, the 9th of September, was on his way to work and was involved in an accident not of his fault. Unfortunately, the gentleman succumbed to his injuries as a cause of the accident, and went to his funeral yesterday. And I've been to a couple law enforcement funerals during the course of my career, but I don't know that I saw the amount of officers that were at this gentleman's funeral yesterday. Wonderful service, very, very moving. Obviously was just a tremendous man, tremendous family man, a tremendous religious gentleman, and felt honored to be there at his funeral to pay our condolences from the sheriff's office. I know there were many sheriffs from across the great state of North Carolina there to be there. The colonel and highway patrol was there, and several other dignitaries from that area. So our thoughts and prayers are with Deputy Riddle-Huber's family, and as well as the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. So our thoughts and prayers are with you, gentlemen.
It affects the whole family. I mean, you think about
absolutely.
we're a family of law enforcement. It hits close to home. You see it on the news, you see it on Facebook, you comment, but when you're there to witness it and see the outpouring of support amongst agencies that may not have known him, but we're related to him. He's in our family, and
military. A lot of military folks there.
Right.
Apparently, he had done some tours in Afghanistan, and then was in the I think it was the Army Reserve here. But Godspeed, young man. So, hello, Joe.
Hello.
I was listening to WSIC the other day, and I heard that you have an official title.
What would that title be?
I think it was like director of sports or some kind of.
Yeah. That's
it was pretty impressive.
As Pat Shannon likes to also say, I'm also the weather girl now.
I heard during the intro, I think it was the weather was on, and it was Joe's voice.
That was me.
Pat needs to clean his glasses, brother. You are not the weather girl.
It's the man bun.
It might be. That might be it.
Yeah. But good to be back with you, sir. Glad to have us here on WSIC. If you have any questions or comments about what we're going to talk about today here in just a few minutes is domestic violence how we investigate those cases here in Iredell County, how we have evolved as a profession in law enforcement of working cases back in the day when it was not as good as it is now. And I have a story I can relate to that. But if you have any questions, give us a call, please, 704-873-1400. And just to make everybody aware that may have been in and around the Old Moxville Road, Davis Hospital area this morning, you saw some law enforcement activity there. There was a car chase that came out of Davie County.
Yes, sir.
Davie County Sheriff's Office initiated that chase. It was a vehicle stolen out of the city of Statesville.
Right.
He was doing some crimes over in Davie County, came this way on interstate, went up around Crawford Road, and then somehow doubled back.
Yes, he did.
And ended up wrecking there in the intersection of Old Moxville. But that was Davie County. We were merely assisting in that investigation. So a little while ago, Dwayne Christian, who was one of our road lieutenants, he and his crew were out working and made a great arrest in the Amity Hill Road area. I'll leave that for a little later when we have a little better press release. But I know that they made an arrest that is going to clear up several cases out that way. So congratulations, Dwayne, and all your crew and our criminal investigators that were over in that area recovering some stolen property. So Matt.
Yes, you just give it away though. You just said that stolen property.
Well,
it's big time stuff. Exactly.
You gotta kind of put a little out there.
It's a teaser. And if it's stolen from a store, even we've got.
I was going to say,
I thought you was tossing me that softball.
We have new signage.
Yep. So these new signs are available at the sheriff's office, not for a limited time. No other exclusions apply. You can come down if you're a business owner, and here you go, free ride in a sheriff's vehicle if you shoplift from this store. And I know a couple of mechanics that have them on their toolboxes as well in their shops because if you take something, you need to bring it back.
That's right.
But no, this is one of the things I remember getting into this position in crime prevention, which is what I get to do with the sheriff has me do quite a few little odds and ends things out there. I thought this was a great way that the sheriff's idea had to, hey, free ride in a sheriff's car. Oh, no, not me, because I'm not a criminal.
Yes, and I know that several business owners have asked us about them. So if you are a business owner, give us a call at the sheriff's office, 704-878-3180, and we'll make arrangements to get you one. Or you can swing by the sheriff's office and pick one up for yourself. We'll have some down in our Mooresville office as well.
Yep.
So I know that we get out way south in the south end. So if you're a business in southern Iredell County, please give us a call at the sheriff's office, and we will make sure that you get some signage.
We could make a delivery.
Absolutely.
I could get out of the office.
Busy weekend. Weekend. This
Lots
last
of stuff
weekend.
going on this weekend. Exactly. Yep.
It's one of those things where, and we hear it all the time. Well, some of these elected officials, you can't find them. They're hardly. They're never out. Well, not Sheriff Campbell and not the Iredell County Sheriff's Office. This weekend we were at Cool Springs Day. We were at Raider Day, and we were even at the first annual Hispanic Heritage Month event that occurred. Deputy Velasquez and some other deputies and detention officers were there, reaching out to our community, just letting folks know what we do, who we are, what we do, and see if we can help them in any way possible.
Yep.
So very, very proud of that. Joe's given us just about 30 seconds to go. So, Patrick, when we come back, I'd like for you to introduce yourself. Tell us kind of what you do, so that'll give you 2 minutes to make up a good story, and then
find out who you are.
And then we'll talk about how we investigate domestic violence incidents at the Iredell County Sheriff's Office. We'll be back shortly.
The good, the bad, and the guilty with Iredell County Sheriff Darren Campbell will return after this short break on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Stuart Owen Dance, the resident dance company of Asheville's Wortham Center for the Performing Arts, is performing at Kane Center for the Arts in Cornelius this Saturday. Want to learn more about Stuart Owen Dance before the event? Listen and watch Justin Dione, Executive Director of Kane Center for the Arts, during his show, Know the Scene, on Tuesday or on demand anytime. Just visit WSICnews.com and click on radio shows to find Know the Scene. Stuart Owen Dance this Saturday, canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. The sesquicentennial celebration for the town of Huntersville is here this Saturday from 2 until 8 p.m. at Huntersville Athletic Park. Come celebrate Huntersville's 150th birthday, Saturday, September 23rd. For more info, visit huntersville.org. The All-American Dog Show is back in Cornelius, Sunday, October 1st, 2 until 5 p.m. Your furry friends are also welcome to attend. You can even enter them into the contests. Be sure to come by the WSIC tent at the All-American Dog Show happening at Robbins Park in Cornelius, Sunday, October 1st. For more info, visit cornelius.org. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your
In the
event
criminal
today.
justice system, sexual...
The Renaissance Festival is back! Saturdays and Sundays, September 30th through November 19th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Huzzah! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
Stories.
And now a look at your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center. Beautiful Wednesday out there today. Hopefully you're enjoying this weather. Mostly sunny skies with a high temperature this afternoon reaching 81. As you head into the afternoon, evening, and overnight hours, we're looking at partly cloudy conditions with the overnight low dropping to 57. This is your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center.
The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty continues now. Here's your host, Iredell County Sheriff Darren Campbell, 105.9, 100.7, WSIC.
Welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty. Joe is just full of tricks over here today. DJ Mix-a-Lot Joe over here pulling out the awesome music for us. Thank you, Joe, for that awesome introduction. And Patrick, you got the SVU music, buddy.
I'm embarrassed to say that a large amount of us in the SVU have that as a tone for any time we get a text or a phone call. Slightly embarrassing, but it's a very catchy song. We can thank Joe for that intro. To introduce myself a little bit, I am Detective Sergeant Patrick Dixon. I am one of the supervisors over the Special Victims Unit. In the Special Victims Unit, we work domestic violence cases, which we'll be talking about it in depth here at this show. We have sexual assaults, we have missing persons or children, child abuse, elder abuse, fraud, identity theft, obtaining property by false pretenses, and we're also over our sex offender registry deputies, so they go out and knock on doors and make sure people are where they're supposed to be. So that's a little bit of what we do in the SVU. We do some things more than that, but that's for another day.
And I have to say that probably one of my shining moments in my career was being one of the original OGs of Special Victims Unit. Captain Julie Gibson and myself were tasked with starting the unit under Sheriff Redmond. Best we can recall, somewhere around 2004. And we slowly built that unit, and then when Sheriff Campbell was elected, the unit exploded, literally, with assistance and getting other things and more resources there. The Sheriff Campbell put a premium on making sure the SVU was brought up to speed in training, manpower, equipment. So I remember when Captain Gibson and I started working Special Victims Unit, I think our prosecution rate at the time was in the mid-20 percentile of cases, and now I know you guys are up close to 93%.
Right, 89-ish.
Yep, just because of the amount of training, specialization, and when you start working those type of cases, you need to be able to pay attention to those cases. And what was happening, and it's no fault of our own, it's just Sheriff Redmond was foresighted enough to see the trend coming, and then obviously when Sheriff Campbell came in and took it and expounded upon the unit. But you can't work a house break-in, you can't work 2-car break-ins and a domestic violence incident. Oh, yeah. And that's what we, and I say not just we as the Sheriff's Office, but we as law enforcement, we're trying to do. And certain people, aspects of the population of law enforcement just don't want to work domestic violence cases. They don't want to work child abuse cases and those things. So when you have someone that has a heart that is driven to work those type of cases, wants to work those type of cases, and then you give them the education, the knowledge, and the training, then you turn out a really special detective.
Right.
So,
yeah, there's a running joke between myself and Captain Julie Wyatt, and she always asks me if I want to work property crimes. And I said, do you want the company answer or my personal answer?
Exactly.
Right. The company answer is I'll do whatever I can to help the citizens of Iredell County. But the personal answer is I have a soft spot for the stuff that I work. Mm-hmm. I really care about the things that I do because, it's a special victims unit. It requires that specialization that it speaks of. So...
and the contact that you have with the victim as well. I mean, there's a lot of that very personal contact because of they've been victimized, whether it's their life's fortune and money that's been taken, or whether it's just an awful thing that can happen to children or family. That gives that more of an intimate relationship, and you're able to really help those people bring closure to something that's so awful.
Absolutely. The majority of the cases we work, whether domestic or sexual assault, there's that power dynamic that we're so familiar with in law enforcement that, you have to not have the soft hand approach, if you will, but be very understanding and empathetic about what people are going through. And, it does take a special kind of person.
And you mentioned power dynamic, and I want to come back to that. But as I told our listeners when we got started, I do remember, and every time I talk about domestic violence, I think about a case that I had back in 1996. A couple years before I came back to Iredell County. Yes, Matt, I'm that old.
I was 6 years old.
When did you start in law enforcement? Because I was in it like
Bill's for the radio listeners, you can't see the face that Chief Hamby has given me.
I think I was 15, 16 maybe. So
yeah. Okay, children. But
Go ahead, Papa.
We went to a domestic violence incident when I worked in Taylorsville many years ago, and I remember pulling up on the scene and meeting a female victim who was obviously assaulted. And of course at the time laws have changed for the better, and I'm so glad that they have. But when we met and met the lady and we talked to her, I said, well, ma'am, do you want to charge him? And she's like, well, no, I don't. He'll be better. And at the time,
he loves me.
Yeah, at the time, unless the victim went and sought warrants, we couldn't arrest. It was a misdemeanor that occurred outside our presence. But now laws have changed.
Right.
Legislators have changed. Therapists got involved. Psychiatrists, psychologists got involved. People who just give a darn, if you will, got involved and said, no, this is not right.
Right.
So now the laws have changed to where if and this is something, Patrick, maybe you can talk about as far as educating our officers and the public. If we come to a domestic violence incident and we see that there are signs of an assault, we now arrest.
Yes.
And it takes that power dynamic out that you alluded to earlier. So maybe you can talk about power control a little bit and old style versus new style of arrest.
Right, for sure. So the power dynamic in itself, it goes hand in hand with domestic violence, whether it be physical or sexual. Sexual violence, and we teach this in our RAD class that we offer, is a lot of it is a power dynamic. It's just one thing to have sexual contact, but it's another to have that control and power over somebody, and that extends well beyond domestic violence. You can see it in the workplace with certain people, but not at our workplace, obviously, but other general places that people would be. But the dynamic that's so concerning is that these, generally speaking, women who are the victims of domestic violence, now can men be victims? Yes, but we obviously see a lot more women, statistically speaking, don't feel like they can escape a situation. They feel like this person has that power over them of money. I have nowhere to stay. I have nothing to eat. No one will believe me, and I can't trust anybody. Everybody that I know is somehow associated with this person. I mean,
children can be involved. Used as pawns.
Absolutely. Yep. Children are used as pawns relentlessly,
right.
and everyone knows that that's the soft spot for a lot of these women is their children.
Of course it is.
Right? And the person trying to keep control over somebody is going to use every opportunity that they have to do that. So, but nowadays, and it is funny, you mentioned cases that you had worked in the past. I remember somebody called me not too long ago about a case that was worked back in 2007. And I got the case file, and it said, William Hamby was the investigator. And I called them and I said, well, ma'am, it looks like there was no one better to possibly work your case, so I don't know what I could possibly do for you.
You're
But
too kind.
no, but nowadays, it's signs of assault. Obviously, there was something that happened there. So when our deputies arrive on scene, we make sure that we assess the situation, find out if there was an aggressor, if this was a self-defense kind of thing. And we have our deputies trained in what to look for in terms of self-defense wounds versus aggressive wounds and things to that nature. Obviously, they separate everybody once they get on the scene because, again, that power dynamic, someone's not going to be comfortable talking about what happened and be truthful when the person that's exercising this power over them is 2 feet away from them.
Right, exactly.
Right, so we always separate.
Guys, I think we may have a call.
Oh,
Joe,
yeah.
we have somebody on the line with us, Joe? Hello, thank you for calling the Good, the Bad, the Guilty. Can we help you?
Hey, good afternoon, Lawman. This is William. How are y'all?
Good, sir. How are you?
Just wanted to speak from a man's point of view. The guest that you have on today, Mr. Hamby, is spot on, and it's hard. It's hard. I was in a situation like that with an old girlfriend back in the day, and it was hard to let her go, but I had to let her go because sexual and violence was mixing and not in a good way. And I relieved myself from that situation because I didn't want you guys showing up. Not that I didn't want you invited into my home to sit down and drink a cup of coffee, but that would be the only way. I didn't want you guys showing up to investigate somebody after the fact that somebody had gotten hurt. So it is difficult for women, especially because they're more vulnerable. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just the women think that they can fix that man. And in some cases, the man thinks he can fix that woman. And I was one of those men that thought he could fix that woman. But then I realized that that was not going to be the case. Now, I don't mean to paint myself as an angel. Takes two to tango. I had my issues too. But I just felt like that was the best thing to do, was to remove myself from that situation by breaking up. And I have to go as far as going to the courthouse to get a court order to have her removed from out of the house. But you have to do what you have to do.
Yes, thank you for calling. I appreciate that. And we are going to talk about in the next segment remedies, court remedies, and other remedies to handle those situations. But I do appreciate your call. And as Patrick was saying, William, as you were as well, we find, and Patrick, you can allude to this, we find that the most dangerous period for our victims is when they make that move to break that relationship.
Absolutely. Because
the aggressor, whether it be the male or the female, they really have, in a very weird, convoluted way of looking at things, they've got a lot invested in that person.
Absolutely.
They've groomed them. They've got them the way they want them. They've either put in time and effort isolating them. Well, if they got to give all that up and go start somebody again, it's a very dangerous time, which is why I like the way that we conduct our investigations. And again, we'll talk more when we come back from the break about how once we are made aware of a victim of one of these situations, we are with them through the entire process.
Absolutely, and that's a good analogy. I always think of it as a pot of clay. They're molding that pot, and they're working on it, and they're working on it. They see an imperfection, they fix it as they see in their eyes, right? And the last thing they want to see is it wobble off the table and fall and escape them. So that's exactly how we look at it. And it is difficult for people to get out, and sometimes people aren't ready, and we are always there to help them in one way or the other. And to speak on William's point on the phone, as a man that's a victim, it could be embarrassing as well too. So we in the SVU, we don't take any judgments on anybody. Us at the sheriff's office in general, I've seen everything, I have heard everything. There's nothing you can say that would shock us. If you need help, by all means, come to us, please.
We'll be back after a short break. Thank you very much for listening to The Good, the Bad, the Guilty on WSIC.
With Iredell County Sheriff Darren Campbell on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hey, did you know Vistaprint prints everything a small bit?
reaching 81. As you head into the afternoon, evening, and overnight hours, we're looking at partly cloudy conditions with the overnight low dropping to 57. This is your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Here's Daily Hope with Pastor Rick Warren.
The Bible says it is not good for man to be alone, and God meant for us to be in community with each other. Whether you ever get married or not, doesn't matter. Really what matters is, do you have a spiritual family, a group of 3 or 4 or 5 people that you can walk through life with so you're not on your own?
Hear more from Rick Warren at PastorRick.com. Here's Daily Hope with Pastor Rick Warren.
You can have trust, and you can have empathy, and you can accommodate each other's needs and differences, but what makes a team is mission. To have a team, you have to have a cause, you have to have a purpose, you have to have a mission. Teams do not just exist for themselves. They have a reason. They are doing something together.
Hear more from Rick Warren at PastorRick.com.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Folks, you know Randy Marion sells vehicles the King of Price way, but did you know our service department? We service vehicles the King of Price way. We sell tires, we sell brakes, we sell batteries, we sell the maintenance. We help you keep your vehicle on the road safe, ready to drive. Whatever the season is, Randy Marion service departments have you covered. Come see us today because, folks, again, you know we sell the King of Price way and we do service the King of Price way.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
Hi, this is Susan. I'm excited to let you know that Lake Mountain Coffee is now available for private events. Our beautiful historic building with its 360-degree mezzanine has hosted many private parties, catered diners, and even an actual wedding. Please contact Andy at 704-252-1886 for more information. Thank you so much.
Call now, 704-873-1400. It's the good, the bad, and the guilty. 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
See, now DJ Joe's bringing us back in with some club music, so I like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you again for tuning in to The Good, the Bad, the Guilty here on WSIC. 100.7 FM Statesville, 105.9 in all our surrounding communities. Talking about the topic of domestic violence today and how we investigate these type of cases at the Iredell County Sheriff's Office. If you have any questions or comments, please give us a call, 704-873-1400. I have Sergeant Patrick Dixon with me this afternoon and Captain Matt Burleson for those of you that may just be tuning in today. And guys, before we came over, I had one of our lovely administrative assistants run our numbers, and every time I hear this number, I swear it shocks me. We've had so far this year 416 reported incidents of domestic violence in Iredell County. That averages out to about 10.9 per week, or just a little over 2 a day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen to these numbers again: 416 reported. And Patrick, you being one of our now experts in the area of domestic violence, from what I remember, and I don't know if these numbers have changed, less than half ever get reported.
I would say that's accurate.
So if you were to do some fancy math with that, at least 1,000 cases, which is about 999.9, too many.
Yeah,
too
correct.
many. So these cases are investigated. Once we take these reports, they're investigated by the members of the Iredell County Sheriff's Office Special Victims Unit. And Patrick and Matt, before we were over at the office, pre-gaming our show today, we were talking about some of the things that we have done at the Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Campbell makes sure that our road patrol deputies, our men and women out there on the road responding to these incidents, do some of the things they do to assist us in investigating these types of crimes. And obviously one is document everything that they see and they hear.
Right.
Okay. The good old days of what was it? Sergeant Joe Friday. Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. Well, yes, we want the facts, but we also want to hear. We want to know what our deputies, what our responding men and women saw, what they heard. Because Patrick, and I want you to extrapolate on this. I remember working cases where I was a first responding officer, and I would pull up and, the victim, whether it be a male or female, or the children would come running out of the house. One I'm thinking of vividly in my mind right now, lady come running out of the house carrying 2 small children, screaming at the top of her lungs, he's got a gun, he's going to kill me. All right? Well, if I didn't write that down properly, what I saw, and describe what I saw, and 2 or 3 months later when we went to court.
Yep.
And she changed her mind.
And she was now back in love with the abuser. Well, I don't remember saying that.
Yeah.
So now, and I think they still do, Patrick, and here again, I'd like for you to talk more about this if you can, victimless prosecutions.
Absolutely. Yeah, so, as we had mentioned before, it's a big cliff to jump out on. You're going to feel alone. You're not. So I just want to make that clear. There's plenty of resources out there, primarily us at the Sheriff's Office and people with Fifth Street Ministries and My Sister's House are great resources for domestic violence victims. But yes, absolutely. Victimless prosecution is something that we have put at the forefront because it is something that the old saying of leading the horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. Sometimes people just don't want to drink, and sometimes they need that push to help themselves. And that is something that we do in the event that it seems necessary. And that's important for us.
Yeah, there's photographs taken. There's other evidence taken from the scene. When there's a fight in a domestic situation, you have things broken. Bill, I remember one of my first cases long ago as well. The woman was hiding underneath the table, the kitchen table, when I entered the home, and that was one that we tried with victimless prosecution, but that was way back in the early 2000s. And my testimony carried a lot of weight because I visibly saw she was scared. She was there hiding, but her testimony saying no.
Right.
But that's been over 20 years ago.
Right. And well, that's another thing. I'll speak to Sheriff Campbell's involvement and his improvement over how we investigate things. I started at the Sheriff's Office in 2014, about 3 months prior to Sheriff Campbell being sworn in. So obviously we had a certain way of doing things back then that have changed now. And I remember I went to a domestic that, long story short, I didn't have much physical evidence, but I had a lot of hearsay is what they would call it in the court. And I remember that one actually went to court, and they called me to the stand and they said, at the time, Deputy Dixon, did this happen? Did this happen? Did this happen? And I say, well, I was advised, objection, hearsay. And I heard that so many times that essentially my entire case at that point was hearsay because that's all I had. And I, cataloged that in the back of my mind and said, that'll never happen again.
Yeah, there you go.
So, once Sheriff Campbell came in, he made it a priority, to take photographs, get written statements, do this, all of the things that we do now. Make sure you separate everybody. Make sure that when they say something, it is documented how things are said. I mean, there can be a lot of nuance to someone saying, no, I'm fine, versus, no, I'm fine. Clearly there's a difference there.
Sure.
So, little nuanced stuff that our deputies are trained to look for. And
one of the things that I was really proud that I know that the sheriff did when he came in is all of our patrol deputies, all our men and women have cameras in their cars now, digital cameras, not just like car cameras, but digital cameras, and they are there documenting those injuries.
Right.
They're documenting that busted door, that furniture in the front yard.
Yep.
And one thing that here again I'd like for you to talk about is maybe as a sentence enhancer is children on the scene. If there are children that have been in earshot or actually physically witnessed a domestic violence assault or argument. Tell us about that, about how that's a sentence enhancer.
Yeah,
if the defendant's found guilty.
Yeah, that's a sentence enhancer, and it's a crime in itself. Assault in the presence of a minor. The minor child does not need to actually physically with their eyes witness it. They can be in their room playing Xbox for all that matters, and they can hear turmoil from the living room, and that in itself is sufficient to make that charge. And not only is it an enhancer, but it could be another, I don't know the punishment for that sort of thing in terms of days in jail or whatever else, but obviously that's frowned upon. Again, reaching back into why I'm so passionate about things in the SVU is a lot of these things have direct relation to kids.
Yes.
And these kids can't do anything on their own. They need the assistance of their parents. And if one parent is being treated like this, then that's obviously not okay.
Yep.
And we as the sheriff's office, whether the victimized parent doesn't want to do anything or not, we have a duty to protect everybody and to make sure that kid is safe.
So, and that's a long-lasting effect that manifests itself later when that child is older.
For sure.
And Matt, you can talk about this, and Patrick, it goes to exactly what you were saying, where we just don't do the basic interviews anymore.
No.
We're following up, Matt, and I know you've seen when you were an SRO and supervised that unit, that our domestic violence investigators would come to the school.
They will.
They will interview teachers. They will look at school records that we have, that we can get access to if need be. So we're trying to take a holistic approach so that when we do go to court and we give this information to the DA's office to hopefully get a successful prosecution, it's more than just we pulled up in the front yard and heard yelling. It's we pulled up in the front yard, we heard yelling, the children have done this, the neighbors say that. We've documented injuries with, photographing these injuries. We've gone to the school to see that the child was great. Then all of a sudden grades fell, or the child started acting out, or started telling teachers certain things.
Yeah.
So just to take a holistic approach, but that comes with having a specialized unit.
It does.
With having time to work these cases, with having a knowledge of what you need, of working with the DA's office, and even working with some of our judges as to, okay, Your Honor, what do you want to hear?
Yep.
What do you want to see when we come to court? What can we give you to help you make that determination? So just super proud of that.
And it's a building block. You're building that, that wall up, so to speak, that's a wall of protection for these children or these victims by each case. If you don't win that case, there's another case. These crimes tend to repeat themselves until we
when we come back, because Joe's giving us the 1 minute break. Wow, today's flying by.
It sure is.
Patrick, I want you to talk about some of the remedies that we have, some of the court remedies, ex partes, 50B domestic violence orders. And one of the things I'm proud of, and here again, the sheriff puts a premium on us, is going out and checking with our victims who receive these domestic violence protection orders to make sure that the offender hasn't come back in. But we'll talk more about that here, because I hear our music playing, and Joe's giving me the 30-second sign, and he's smiling. So when we come back, we'll talk about that. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions or comments, 704-873-1400, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
More of The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty with Iredell County Sheriff Darren Campbell coming up on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Stuart Owen Dance, the resident dance company of Asheville's Wortham Center for the Performing Arts, is performing at Kane Center for the Arts in Cornelius this Saturday. Want to learn more about Stuart Owen Dance before the event? Listen and watch Justin Dion, Executive Director of Kane Center for the Arts, during his show, Know the Scene, on Tuesday or on demand anytime. Just visit WSICnews.com and click on radio shows to find Know the Scene. Stuart Owen Dance, this Saturday, kanearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. The sesquicentennial celebration for the town of Huntersville is here this Saturday from 2 until 8 p.m. at Huntersville Athletic Park. Come celebrate Huntersville's 150th birthday, Saturday, September 23rd. For more info, visit huntersville.org. The All-American Dog Show is back in Cornelius, Sunday, October 1st, 2 until 5 p.m. Your furry friends are also welcome to attend. You can even enter them into the contests. Be sure to come by the WSIC tent at the All-American Dog Show happening at Robbins Park in Cornelius, Sunday, October 1st. For more info, visit cornelius.org. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
The Renaissance Festival is back! Saturdays and Sundays, September 30th through November 19th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Huzzah! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
And now a look at your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center. Beautiful Wednesday out there today. Hopefully you're enjoying this weather. Mostly sunny skies with a high temperature this afternoon reaching 81. As you head into the afternoon, evening, and overnight hours, we're looking at partly cloudy conditions with the overnight low dropping to 57. This is your weather update from the WSIC Weather Center.
Turn your outdoor haven into a work of art. If you can dream it, Drum Landscape Supply can make it happen. Visit drumlandscapesupply.com. Imagine a getaway in your own backyard. Get started now at Drum Landscape Supply, your local one-stop landscape shop.
Now more of the good, the bad, and the guilty with Iredell County Sheriff Darren Campbell on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, welcome back, everyone. The music changes each time we go away and come back. Thank you, Joe, for that. Good afternoon, folks. We're here live on The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty, WSIC, on 100.7, 105.9, and on Facebook Live. I'm looking for comments on there if you guys have any questions or comments, as well as calling in the studio, 704-873-1400, 873-1400. We're here with my good friend, Detective Sergeant Patrick Dixon with the Special Victims Unit, and of course, as always, Chief Bill over there,
yes,
and
sir.
I'm Captain Matt. So tell us about, we were talking about investigating these domestic violence incidents. Tell us about just what happens when those officers come on scene. Take us through that investigation quickly.
Right, so I'll speed round this. We
Yep.
get a domestic violence incident. We have signs of assault. Everything leads to something that needs to be cleared by arrest, as we would call it. So bad guy goes to jail. He has...
Or girl.
Correct.
Right.
Bad guy or girl. Yes, thank you. Goes to jail, and they are held there on a domestic violence hold, so they have to be seen by a judge. Now, that is at most 48 hours, and they have to be seen.
So if you're arrested on Friday afternoon, you're not
be.
getting out till Monday morning.
Right.
That is correct,
Okay.
yes. So those, worst time for them to be arrested, best time for the victim. So that goes through that process. We, as detectives, would get that investigation. We would, get 911 calls, make sure that we've got all the statements from the officers, all the photos. They would take follow-up photos several days later to see if, bruises have progressed or if how injuries are healing and, have things documented that way. We look up for a follow-up interview with victims. We look up for additional witness interviews. There's some other things that are some secret squirrel stuff that I won't mention on the radio.
So,
and
just to break it down, this is a holistic investigation.
Very in-depth.
Yes.
So, then you go through that process. There's pretrial release conditions about, the victim being essentially contacted by bad guy or girl, and there's all that aspect. But before it even gets to that point, I wanted to let people know about ex partes or domestic violence orders and stuff like that. If you have reason to believe that you are in danger from this person, you can go to the clerk of courts, the civil side, and ask them for a domestic violence packet, which for the people on Facebook is right here. We have it here at the sheriff's office. We highlight the things, and we will help you fill it out. Obviously, we can't provide you with legal advice, but we can help you fill out the paperwork so that you can get the help that you need.
We can't fill it out for you.
Correct, yes.
But we'll sit down there next to you and hold your hand.
Absolutely.
And ex
support
parte,
you.
that's important because it means what for Latin? Ex parte.
It's a party of one.
Yes.
So, yes, a party of one, that means it's just your side. Now, obviously, there's some court appearances and stuff like that, and once you fill out your ex parte, the hearings are at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. every Monday through Friday. We, as the sheriff's office, will gladly assist somebody in that, be there to support them. My sister's house also will generally provide someone to be there if you so choose it.
Now, this is literally not your sister's house.
Yeah, no,
for
not
those
my...
of you, for those of you that are new to the show or maybe new to the area, My sister's house is a domestic violence
shelter
slash advocacy group and business.
Yes.
They're a nonprofit, so we will call them. We will have support staff from them come and work with us. We kind of work together. We're kind of like railroad tracks. We don't work for each other, but we go in the same direction.
Right. Absolutely.
And the direction is to support victims of domestic violence
and their families. My sister's house will take
yes.
in children as well with the mother.
Yes. So to kind of wrap up, once that is granted, we as the sheriff's office get that paperwork. We go try and find bad guy or girl. We let them know here are the stipulations. If you violate them, you go straight to jail. No ifs, ands, or buts. If there is a stipulation in the ex parte that says you are not to talk to this person, if we get a text message, anything, or a third party contacted this person for the person that wasn't supposed to be talking to you, they go to jail. And we do not play with that. That is something that Sheriff Campbell is very adamant that we don't play with that. So you can rest assured that we do everything to find the person to serve them that paperwork. And then, it's just a fun day in court and the next day and the next day.
Yeah, and one of the things about these ex parte orders, and then subsequently after that once you get the ex parte, okay, then it can be up to 10 days. You'll have a court hearing. If the judge deems that everything that you said is true, then you can get a domestic violence protection order for up to 1 year.
Right.
Yes.
And that order is good for 365 days. So in 364 days, Mr. Wonderful or Miss Wonderful decides they want to be dumb enough to send you a text message or ride by your house when they have nothing or whatever, and you report that, and we can prove that occurred, they're going to jail.
Right.
They're going to jail.
Yep.
With no questions asked. And there again, bond is normally significant for a DVO violation or a protection order violation, and then it's a tool. And it is that. It's a tool.
It's a hedge of protection, essentially. It creates a screen around them that protects them before they get hurt.
Right.
Before they get into that.
Where they work,
right.
where they go to school, where they go to church, where the children receive education or leisure. So, there's a lot of things that this instrument that was designed by AOC, which is Administrative Office of the Courts, Institute of Government, and the district attorneys, Council of District Attorneys, or their group, North Carolina Sheriff Association, Chiefs of Police. This is an instrument that we can use as law enforcement to aid victims of domestic violence, keep the perpetrator away from them.
And be proactive about it.
And be extremely proactive. And one of the things that I've already alluded to, and one of the things that Sheriff has us do, is go out and check on these domestic violence order or ex partes to make sure that, Mr. Wonderful or Miss Wonderful haven't wormed their way back into the situation. Because if we find them there and the judge's order that they shall not be there, and it's a shall, not a maybe if you want to, it's a shall, you're going to jail.
Yep.
Straight to jail.
Same way at our schools as well. Sheriff Campbell makes sure all the school resource officers has those ex partes, those documents when they're first served, or those long-term restraining orders, and those children that can be used as pawns, not at school.
Because I remember getting them and faxing them or scanning them and sending them to schools. And honestly, it always seemed like the schools would call and thank us for doing that, or send me an email back and go, hey, we got it, thank you, because they want to do the right thing too. So they don't want to be culpable in aiding in any sort of parental abduction or anything, and they do a fabulous job of working with law enforcement. And there again, just another great reason to have SROs at our schools.
First responders, zero response time.
They're right there, and it makes an offender, a would-be offender, not just of an act of violence, but of a parental abduction. Makes them think twice when they see that marked unit sitting in front of that school.
That's right.
So. Well, Patrick, thank you so much. I know we got a few minutes left, and Matt's got to talk about Citizens Academy.
Citizens Academy, the Fall Citizens Academy. Yep.
But if anybody has any questions, if you have any concerns about a loved one, a coworker, anybody that you're aware of that you think may be a victim of domestic violence, 704-878-3180 is a sheriff's office number. You can call, ask questions. Patrick and the SVU folks will be absolutely glad to answer questions. I know that we still give out literature in various places, so if you just want some literature to read about it, to see, to plan an escape if you need to from an abusive relationship, give us a call. We will discreetly get you that information. We're here to be a resource and an advocate. We're not here to force you to do anything you don't want to do, but the sooner you can get away from an abuser, the better off you're going to be, your friends are going to be, your family's going to be. So we are here to help.
Yep, and we encourage friends and family also as outcry witnesses. If it's not you, but a loved one of yours that you feel
Sure.
is a victim, because I know you guys, the Special Victims Unit, you not only help these domestic situations, but we've talked about elder situations and the child situation. So. Thank you very much for all that you do. Thank you, Chief, for the intro to the Citizens Academy. That will be starting up the first week in October. October 3rd, we're going to start that on a Tuesday. We're going to run it on Tuesday and Thursdays through the month of October. We've got to make sure we don't interfere with the Sheriff's Spooktacular.
Our Spooktacular.
Our
I'm glad you said that.
Is
I've got
on October 31st. So
Halloween night.
That's the Tuesday, October 31st. Yes, but so running Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout the month of October, stopping before Halloween. We're going to have the Sheriff's Citizens Academy, and Sheriff Campbell always says, "Hey, transparency, come in, you look at what we're doing, we show you what we're doing." He's really excited about a few things that we got going this time. We always have the CERT team come out and do some type of activity. I believe, the boat ride is always a favor of most folks.
Jail tour.
The jail tour, exactly. I believe we might be meshing some of those things together.
I think we may be doing a human trafficking and fraud presentation this year,
we
too.
are. I know a special certain expert here in the field that's going to be doing that. And this comes from calls from our community. If you want it, we will do it. If there's something that you want to see, I mean, this is a living instrument or whatever you say, a document. We can change it. We can make it what you want it to be. So call in, get in touch with me, the 878-3180, Captain Matt. If you got any questions or information about it, what you want to see, you can go on our website. You can go on our app. If you go on our Facebook and look back through, you can actually have the link there where you click on. I need you guys to sign up, get in there. I mean, you're welcome any night, every night, all the nights. We're going to have a nice graduation at the very end.
If you can't make every night, don't worry about it. Now, you may miss out on something cool, but we understand, people have lives and things happen. But take this opportunity to come out, see your sheriff's. It's your sheriff's office.
Right.
We work for the citizens, as Sheriff Campbell always says. We work for the citizens of Iredell County. We're very proud of our agency. We're very proud of our men and women. We want you to come and see what your tax money is basically paying for, and we want you to become members of our extended family.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll get jail tea and
cookies.
some of the most delicious cookies you've ever had. So, Joe, we're looking for you Tuesdays and Thursdays, buddy.
Yep.
All right. Well, it looks like we're wrapping things up. Joe's giving us the 30-second sign. Patrick, thank you so much again for taking your time out of your day to come and hopefully educate our listeners. We'll be back next week here on The Good, the Bad, the Guilty on WSIC. Everyone have a wonderful day and stay safe.
The new 105.9, 100.7.
Great.